Back. Alright, we're good to go. So, let's see. Alright, so who wants to sum up what happened last time, or try to anyway, because this is probably going to be a group effort.
Nothing happened last time because we just talked about future stuff. Yeah. That was enough.
Cop out.
Yeah, it is a cop out.
We prepared for war. Sort of.
Yeah.
We were given the instructions on where was it? God, really, was it November 30th the last time? Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, we found out that we needed to go to Yarkun Drawl, right?
Right.
Yeah. And that we were going to have a contingency to go behind us, but we were going to be essentially the ones going on ahead, trying to minimize casualties, capture for questioning, interrogation, and such. But I mean, obviously, if we're gonna die, kill them fools. Looks like we will have approximately 15 soldiers to our back, so that'll be kind of nice. And once we have found the facility and determined it is what we think it is, and we have neutralized any effects that we needed, we can come back, and our mission will be done.
Right, I forgot we had dudes helping us.
Yeah, we've got some people, and it's going to be a night assault, so we should all wear our black ninja garb.
Yes, of course. You guys are going to be the point end of the stick. Excuse me.
Yes.
Yeah, you guys are going to go in and neutralize as much as possible, cause chaos and disruption in their defenses, and the other guys are going to come behind you and kind of mop up, so to speak, or deal with anything that's a little bit too fortified for you guys to handle. But so we're going to say that the next day, because at this point I don't remember the exact timelines on what was going on. The next day, Irvelin calls you to her office, and this is you actually haven't been to her actual office. You've been to a lot of places that she's worked out of, but you haven't been to the place that she does a lot of her official work. And she does it in a kind of secluded corner of one of the towers that's otherwise relatively nondescript. And you know from experience that the King's Citadel does a lot out of this tower, officially out of this tower. So Lucan and Wraith have certainly been here before as part of their duties as the King's Sword and the King's Shield, respectively. And the rest of you have probably been here on at least one or two notable occasions. But this is the first time you've actually gone to Irvelin's office, which is on one of the higher floors, excuse me. And it's got a bit of an odd feel to it, because since she's officially part of the King's Wands, this place has an almost academic, a strange kind of academic feel in the air. There's a lot of magical effects. There's as you walk through doors, there's a tingling on your skin. The hair stands on end. It's pretty familiar to Cord, especially as somebody who's doing a lot of stuff in the university. Mm-hmm. But she leads you back. Her office is in one of the back corners, and you notice as you're going there that people are giving you a pretty long, hard look, making sure that you're supposed to be there in the first place. They didn't do this through the rest of the tower, but as you get closer to Irvelin's office, you're definitely being checked out and evaluated. And as they recognize several of you, that they go back to what they were doing. When you get to Irvelin's office, she motions for you to close the door behind you. she's got and what is arguably and fucking enormous office. She's got a desk on the far side, but she also has a large table set off to the right near a window looking out over onto the rest of Sharn. There are about 5 chairs around that table. There are bits and bobs all over the place. There's books, there's scrolls, there's pieces of parchment, there's magical implements, there's magical reagents for ritual casting and everything like that. And as you get in, you feel almost like the air pressure has changed when you close after you come in and you close the door. Those of you with a magical bent recognize this as some sort of spell sealing in around you as you're closing the door.
Bone of silence.
Not quite like that, but something similar, something to kind of prevent scrying.
Well, it
Most likely.
happened to Get Smart theme while you were describing that, so
I know. As soon as you said that, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
But then you close the door. She goes over and locks it and says, "Even here, you can't be too safe. Come over here. I've got a map you're gonna want to take a look at." And she leads you over to that desk that's on the side in front of the door. And she pulls a cover down over the window. And yet, it doesn't seem like the light in here in the area has changed at all. But she takes a small glowing orb. And you see this map. Looks like some sort of city. Probably a ruin of some sort. And as you're even noticing that, she's going, I pulled out some ruins, some maps of the ruins of Yarkun Dral from the archives. We haven't sent a survey mission on to there in quite a while, as far as I'm aware. So these are, unfortunately, the latest that I could dig up, and they're almost 30 years old. Unfortunately, sending anybody in there to get something more up to date might tip our hand, so in this case we're going to have to operate under some potentially outdated information. I've done some work on my own and directed some Wands resources to this, and this is basically what we found out. The whole place is and always has been kind of a magical sinkhole, so to speak. Nothing quite works like it's supposed to when you're dealing with this place. It's somewhat predictable, and it's not so bad that we can't do anything, but it definitely affects everything that you do there. It's very difficult to scry or otherwise have a distant effect on the ruins. So our scrying attempts were not particularly useful. Clairvoyance was somewhat better than the actual scrying spells, but still not entirely definitive in any sense.
So we're going in blind?
Not completely. And she takes this glowing orb and you don't. She like turns her fingers and the light changes from a diffuse to a more narrow colored point of light, almost like a laser pointer, but somewhat more, somewhat larger, more like the size of a golf ball as a point to a pinpoint. And she puts it on this area in the southwest part of the city. Even though we couldn't reliably scry and get a lot of information here, what we did find was that something in this area isn't just the usual magical effect. Something here is actively blocking the attempts to use these spells. And from that, we've determined that somewhere in this section of the city, very likely down here by... It looks like it's a ruined fort of some sort near the coastline. this is where we feel it is the most likely position for this facility or laboratory or whatever we're going to call it. This is probably where we think it's going to be at. It's the place that seems to actively resist rather than some sort of passive magical background noise, so to speak.
The abandoned fort.
It would make a certain kind of sense. The underground facilities below the fort haven't been... I don't think they've ever been mapped in full detail, but from what we understand of Hobgoblin architecture in that day in general, they would have a relatively extensive underground facility in much the same way that one of our keeps might. Dungeons and armories and supplies and probably some sort of underground well to keep water flowing. It's possible that the underground facilities even extend so far as to go into Khyber, but we have no way of knowing that for sure, and we don't expect that to be true. We have no reason to believe that the Hobgoblins had any particular reason to venture that far down, much less open up a potential weak point in one of their strong facilities. So in that case, I would think that we can rest easy. That being said, we still don't know the exact extent of the underground facilities. The above ground, I should say, are not intact enough to be a very defensible fortification, but potentially complicates the assault that you're making. You may have to more attempt to sneak into the fortress first rather than walking in guns blazing, so to speak.
Yeah.
But that being said, there are enough breaches in the facility, in the keep's walls, that we don't expect you to have a great deal of problem in that respect. And once you're inside, you can take care of any defenses as you deem necessary.
Are we looking at trying to go in via land or coming up via the coast? Is that a possibility? Side down there by the coastline.
It's a good question, and one that I was going to bring up a bit later.
Okay.
We have the use of an airship. One that is not officially on the books.
Stealth.
Officially, this is a Zalargo airship that is somewhere over in Dargoon, officially. But how we have... this is unofficially what we will be using for a number of our particular missions. It has an air elemental bound to the ring, so it will not be visible at night, such as a fire ring might be. It will be utterly silent, and since the weather itself should be overcast with very little in the way of starlight or moonlight, I don't expect anybody to have any realistic chance of spotting you as you head in. We will be providing you with something relatively new. We were testing it out in the final stages of the war. We have not used it as a part of the Citadel armory just yet, but we don't anticipate any significant problems with it. They're called the Cloaks of Arrested Descent. And what they do is similar to a Ring of Featherfall. My understanding is that the enchantment started off with the same as the Featherfall and was somewhat changed. I don't have any personal use of this, but I have been informed that what happens is you will fall to a point of about 40 to 50 feet, at which point your descent will be extremely regressed, and you will float relatively unharmed except for the jolt the rest of the way down to the ground. It's an unpleasant experience, I'm told. However, it will be...
Sounds like it.
However, it does seem the best solution to getting you on the ground without possibility of being noticed while you're in midair and potentially shot out of the air. Even though it's unlikely that you will be noticed, the unlikely is not the same as impossible. And if you are noticed, something like a ring of feather fall, you would have a very long time sitting up there like a sitting duck to be shot at with spells and arrows alike.
But at least your corpse would have a nice gentle trip to the ground.
This is quite true.
Less for the cleaning crew to clean up.
It's true. You just drag off the arrow-ridden body instead of mopping up the slop.
Well, it sounds like these are things that would have been appreciated on your guys' last mission.
I would have liked to have sent something like that, but on the other hand, I had no way to anticipate...
Again, sorry about that.
We had no way to anticipate that such an event would have taken place, unfortunately. And further, these are, unfortunately, a one-use item. The enchantment is somewhat unstable, and upon expending that magic, will need to be enchanted one more time, which I'm told is an improvement over what used to happen, which is that as the enchantment, the energies behind it were used up, it would actually light the cloak on fire, which, as you might expect, is not exactly a benefit while you're falling from the sky.
Yeah, it seems unpleasant.
It didn't stop the cloak from functioning, at least not until it had completely burned away. But nevertheless, it was something of a significant drawback to the initial design.
Mm-hmm.
So, as
Who
you
was
might...
the poor snap that had to test that one?
I'm not sure, and I don't think I really want to know, because they're probably not in the best of mood even now after that. However, these have been assured to be safe. These have actually been used on multiple occasions. They've just been re-enchanted each time, which, although it's rather unfortunate in terms of expense, it's a necessary evil in this case.
Well, do the cloaks at least remain stylish afterwards?
Well, you'll have to see for yourself. I'm not sure that I would call them anything except utilitarian, I'm afraid.
Sorry. All right.
Well, we're just talking about Nightfall. How long are we waiting until this mission will be a go?
You will go tonight. We can't afford to wait any further, so you will need to be ready to go this evening. Any equipment that you've selected that is not on your person will be on board the airship. You will be able to board her around dusk tonight. That will give you enough time to make the trip to Yarkun Drawl, which, although it's not an extensively long trip by airship especially, we want to make sure that you arrive sometime after midnight, aiming for the second or third hour after midnight, when any living sentries are going to be at their worst. That being said, given that we're dealing with Kenneth here, it's likely that you're going to run into something, a construct of some sort, possibly Warforged, but almost certainly some sort of construct here or there. We have no way of knowing exactly for sure, but it's a good bet.
Question on the constructs in the Warforged. Do you consider those as capturable entities, or are we looking more along for the Cannith humanoids?
Other Warforged, if you can take them, are to be considered a living creature.
Okay.
Other constructs are not. They may be destroyed as necessary.
Roger.
So, the name of the ship is the Intrepid. I'm sorry, the Excelsior. The Intrepid was elsewhere. And you will need to give a code phrase as you're boarding. That should not be a terribly difficult thing. Just make sure not to mention it out loud anywhere else. Typical operational security in this case. The others who are backing you up will already be on the ship. They are actually there now to minimize the chance of people wondering why so many people are boarding a ship at that point at night.
This seems suspect.
It is important that in this case you do not make contact with any other soldiers, Braylon soldiers or otherwise. We don't know to what extent any of the patrols around there may have been compromised. We expect that it has happened to some degree or another, because otherwise we would have heard something about the necessary transport back and forth between this facility and Sharn or something else. So we expect that at least some soldiers in the nearby towers have been
Compromised.
Exactly. It's something that it will need to be taken care of, and it's possible that as Dark Lanterns we might get involved. However, it's more likely that it's something that the King's Citadel will be dealing with in the future. For our purposes tonight, all we can do is recommend that unless you have no other option, do not approach any Braillish soldiers unless you are 100% aware of their identity.
Understood.
So, I'm not sure there's anything else that we can do for you here. In the end, this is going to be largely up to you when you get on site.
I think we'll have it in hand. I mean, what's the worst that could go wrong?
Everything.
Harkening back to all of our previous missions.
Yes. Crashing airships, vampires, all those things. This time the vampire's on your side, though.
Oh, yeah.
No, Wraith, I can't die. I'm already dead.
Sort of. You're not exactly dead.
I could die more.
You could die permanently.
Undead, you're just kind of there.
Yeah. I exist.
You can get hurt a whole lot, wake
Yes.
back up, and get hurt a whole lot again.
That's true.
All right, yeah, that's entirely true.
Flaming cloaks? No problem.
Well, I don't know. That might be kind of a problem.
It might be.
Incidentally, I vote that he jumps out of the airship with only his shield strapped to his back. I think this is a good way to start this campaign.
Woo!
So
We're gonna point blank this bitch.
he's gonna point blank is an option. Captain America was another option in that respect. I don't know what he was referencing, but I imagined it was Captain America.
I imagine Cord is Johnny Utah with a big pimp hand, shooting my murder balls into the air.
So many murder balls. All right. So.
All right.
She says, all right, unless you have any other questions, I suggest you guys go get some rest, get some sleep, get something to eat. And I hope to see you guys back here this time tomorrow.
All right. So yeah, let's go get prepared.
All right. So what are you guys gonna do in the meantime? What are you guys gonna?
I'm trying. Okay. Well, I need to figure out which
I suggest you guys go get
spells I
some.
want to make sure and have set up for this.
Okay.
Well, so I'm just gonna be looking at that for a second.
What about everybody else?
I'd already hit the armory, so I'm assuming I would just.
Yeah, you guys have already hit the armory.
Yeah, I
You-
figured we got all the stuff that we. already
You've either got it or you requisitioned it, and it's going to be waiting on the ship for you, one way or the other. So, is anybody going to do anything in specific?
Have a nap.
See if Caleb's
Yeah.
back.
Rest.
What was that, Brandy?
Myself and rest.
Brandy is, or Gemma Beth is going to see if Caleb is back in town.
He doesn't seem to be back just yet. The people at the airship docks, they don't have any record of him filing a flight plan to be back in Sharn anytime soon. That being said, the flight plans are often only filed 4 or 5 days in advance. So he could be back within a week, and there's no way to tell for sure. All right, anybody else? Anybody else? That means if you haven't spoken up, you should say something.
I think that I am going to take the evening to review the books, make sure that everything for the shop is in order, touch base with my shopkeep, make sure that he's got instructions well in hand.
He's like, yeah, I know how this goes. Just, trust me. Come on, boss.
Yeah, except that last time I went out of town, the sales sucked.
That's not my fault. I'm here whenever somebody comes here. It just happens to be that nobody really wanted anything while you were gone.
Try to talk them up a little bit, maybe. I realize that they are your precious little babies, but still, we are here for a profit. You do want to eat.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not shooing people out or locking the door. But all right, boss. I'll do what I can. If you leave a few coins behind, maybe I can get some flyers made. Something, I guess. I mean, do you have any ideas?
I don't know.
Big sale.
You've got friends, right?
Mom.
Presumably.
Yeah, but they don't have enough money to buy some of the stuff we've got.
Got some deals. Rentals, man. Come on.
All right. I'll see what I can do. I mean, I think there's a couple parties coming up that may be something we can show off.
Hell, do this. Take one of the pets, go out, go to a party, get laid.
I mean, getting laid's never been a hard thing, boss.
Yeah, but if you get laid with one of our pets on your shoulder, then it's kind of a selling point.
Now you're getting into weird fetish stuff, boss. I'm not sure I'm good with that.
I mean, like, use a cute one to get a girl to notice you or some shit. Then all your friends are like, oh, hey, look at that. And then they're getting laid with our pets, and then it spreads word. This is how business works. Come on.
No.
I don't know. We've gone to uncomfortable places. I'll take what you're saying into mind, but I please don't want to hear you say anything like that ever again. But if you all right, if you promise never to talk about getting laid with one of the pets ever again, I will do my best to turn more of a profit while you're gone this time. How long are you gone anyway? You're talking like you're going to be gone for weeks.
Not really sure right now, but just be prepared for an extended period.
All right, just leave me a few extra coins just in case I have to take care of anything here at the shop.
I've already left them on my desk in the study.
All right. Well, all right. You take it easy, boss. I'll see you whenever you get back, I guess.
Incidentally, if sales haven't picked up by the time I get back, there will not only be discussion about getting laid with the pets, there will be a PowerPoint presentation.
A psychic PowerPoint.
Yeah, psychic PowerPoint. That's
burned into your brain.
well. That's
Okay.
if
Slide
there
by
was a
slide.
way to make PowerPoint even worse, somehow psychic PowerPoint would be that thing.
Direct mental connection to the slides.
Ew, yeah.
And it's all in Comic Sans.
Oh, that's even worse.
And you can't
Except
even
for the headings,
ignore it.
which are in Papyrus.
I'm not as upset with Papyrus, but the Comic Sans would be pretty bad.
I think the font nerd folks are even more upset about Papyrus. It's just not used as much.
Probably, but then again, I like trolling font nerds, so
There's that. I'm good friends with many.
I mean, I know a few people who are viscerally upset at every time seeing Comic Sans, and those people are so much fun to troll.
Yeah.
I just can't help myself. But he kind of, at this idea, he's shooing you out, going, "Yeah, good luck, boss. Go, yeah, have a good time. Take care of yourself. Don't forget to write." And he's just trying to get you out of the shop because he doesn't want to hear any more of this. What's Lucan doing up till?
I am having a nap.
I guess that makes sense. It is the middle of the day.
Yeah, I don't have much else to do at the moment, so.
And Cord, what were you going to do?
Just drink, eat, hang out, get some rest in, and yeah, basically that's just really it. Just getting ready for making sure I don't manage to hurt myself before we do this.
Probably a
Okay.
good plan. Can I ask why Cord has a skull and crossbones on him on the map?
Oh, no reason.
Okay.
What?
Just wondering.
No reason at all.
No bueno.
He hasn't completely tempted fate or anything.
Oh god, I'm pressing the wrong buttons.
He hasn't begged for death in the most roundabout way. No, he hasn't.
Alright. Shall we converge on the Arcoon Draw then?
All right. So later that night, you guys individually in pairs, all together, doesn't really matter. You head towards the Excelsior in the airship docks part of Sharn, and it's normally the airship docks are pretty well guarded by mercenaries, adventurers, and the Sharn Watch. Nobody really wants anybody to make any trouble there because the ships themselves are very expensive, and the cargo that they're carrying, either in terms of people or actual items, also worth a lot of money, typically anyway. So, but tonight it seems like there's an even bigger guard presence. If you weren't supposed to be here, this would feel like overpowering almost. Like, you can't walk 10 feet without running into somebody in a uniform or carrying a somewhat more heavy arms and armor than you might otherwise expect to see. But by the time you get there to the Excelsior, you've been probably checked over a dozen times or more each. And as you approach the airship, a couple of guards, looks like from their stances they look more like soldiers than watchmen. And one of them holds up his hand and says, "I'm afraid that this vessel is off limits for this evening."
And that is where we speak the code phrase.
And they look back and forth at one another and nod to you and get out of the way. As you're getting on, they pat you guys on the back and say good luck with that. And don't
I
know
was just trying to remember if we were told what the code phrase was.
Yeah, you were. I didn't specifically say what the code phrase was, but yeah, you were told it.
That's what I meant. If you had said it.
But
I was like, what was it again? Crap.
We have the phrase that pays.
Yeah. So they pat you on the back as you go by and says good luck. Don't know what you're doing or what's going on, but I had the feeling you're going to need it.
Yep. Thank you for that, and yes, you're not wrong. So yeah, just get up on the airship.
All right, so the airship, you get on. Everybody on here definitely has a military bent to their actions. The orders are crisp. They are not. Nobody asks questions twice. Everybody is just. They're doing what they need to do when they need to do it, and there's a briskness and an efficiency that you don't necessarily see in a lot of commercial vessels. An elven woman in not quite a uniform, but kind of a naval-esque attire approaches you. She's wearing a hat with a large feather that as best as you can tell is probably from like a rock or a griffin, and she approaches you and says, so you are the agents we've been waiting for.
That we are, and I give a slight bow to her, like a little flare on there.
I'm Captain Fenmarl, and this is the Excelsior.
Seems like quite the sturdy airship.
She's not quite as sturdy as I might like sometimes, but she'll get the job done when we need it.
That's all we can ask for.
Your berths are down below. The rest of your compatriots have already taken the bunks and prepared themselves. So if you want to meet them, the sergeant in charge is... yeah, he's over there at the front of the bow taking a look. You may want to introduce yourselves before heading to your stations yourself. But before you do that, we need to lay down some ground rules. The Excelsior will not be charging to your rescue if you get in over your hand. These are my orders. The airship is too valuable and too expensive to risk in ground combat, such as it is. A single fireball spells or lightning could destroy this ship and everybody on it. So bear that in mind. There will be no grand aerial rescue in case something goes wrong. You will need to break contact, and then we will see what we can do to retrieve you. You will be heading in through, I'm understanding, a relatively unorthodox method of aerial entry, so to speak. The rest of your compatriots will be ferried to the ground on a jig boat, and which is not perhaps the most timely or efficient way to do it, but it is the safest in respect to keeping the ship away from any potential dangers. Once you have been dropped off, so to speak, we will see about getting the rest of the soldiers on the ground to support your attack. If you need to signal for that you need retrieval or some other something else to warn us, perhaps, we have these, and she hands you a small metal container, and there's a lens at one end, and she says, if you concentrate on this and speak the code word, you can make this shine a different color. There are unfortunately only 3 colors. You will use red if you are warning us to retreat. You will use green if it is safe to approach, and you will use yellow to indicate that something has gone wrong, but the operation has not been abandoned yet.
Can I just say, I was really hoping when you started describing that she had just handed us a tin can on the string.
Not
A little metal
quite,
container
no.
with, oh god, yes.
Ooh,
It's
I was
a
just
really long string. Really
no, it's
long.
magical. The string only goes about a foot, and then it.
well, yeah, I looked this over. I'm very intrigued by this little device here.
course
It seems pretty straightforward in how it operates. From what you can tell, it probably doesn't last very long before it has to be recharged with magical energy.
Okay.
So it's, but it seems like it has some sort of dragon shard inside,
Ooh.
and that is attuned to the different code words to glow in a particular fashion.
So, really quick again, the colors and what they mean.
Green means it's safe to approach. Red means to retreat. And yellow means that something has gone wrong, but the operation hasn't been suspended.
Okay. So, we have a traffic light. Got it.
More or less, yeah.
Our,
right.
Our traffic lights. Oh God.
Yeah, you have a traffic light.
Cool. Okay. So, if that's all that she has for us, I'm going to go introduce myself to the sergeant, and then we're probably good to continue on.
All right.
Shove
You go towards the bow where you were told the sergeant is, and you see that it's a very large warforged. It looks like he's had some kind of augmentations that he instead of the typical looking warforged with they're kind of like steel and stone and the different organic tree root sort of looks to it. He looks like he's made out of some other sort of metal, and it looks like it's even been like kind of embossed on the organic parts of him.
Cool.
But as you approach, he hears something different, and he turns around and looks, and it's hard to tell the facial expression on a warforged very well, but this one seems a bit suspicious, perhaps. But he turns around and looks at you and says, "You wouldn't happen to be the Citadel agents that have been sent, are you?"
That would be us, Sergeant.
Very well. My name is Strike.
We introduce ourselves as well.
So, I don't suppose you have any more information for me about what's going on here, do you?
I believe there's only so much that we can give you. Are you coming with the contingent on the ground?
Yes, I will be joining the assault team.
Okay. How much have you been told so far?
I've been told that we will be performing a night attack on a enemy facility with unknown defenses, unknown defenders, and very little beyond that.
Well, beyond a few theories, you know about. You don't know much less than we do right now. The intel that we have about exactly what or who will be there defending this place is largely theoretical right now, so you will find out with us.
I hate this sort of operation. Did too many of them during the war.
But
But if it needs to be done, then you can count on us to be doing it. I've been told that Command would prefer that we keep more people alive than we put in the dirt. Is that correct?
absolutely.
Definitely.
Very well. It's It'll make things a little bit harder, but I trust my men to take care of that. We have a wizard and a sorcerer joining us for this little expedition, and they've prepared accordingly, I'm told. I have no significant knowledge of the workings of spellcasting myself, so I have to take their word for it.
Now, to be clear, if it is a matter of their life or yours, go ahead and take their life. That is not an issue.
Yes, that you can be assured that will be
Good.
taken care of, even if I didn't
This
order.
is just a goal.
Even if I didn't tell them that,
Yes.
I can't damn well order somebody to die so they can try to take some other person alive. It's just, you can give
You're a
that.
better commander than some I've had.
It's true enough, I suppose. But that's an order that you can give, but that's not an order you're ever going to be able to enforce.
Of course.
So
Good. We understand each other then.
sounds like we do. Well, I hope this is smooth and easy, but
So do we.
a few things ever are. So if it does go to Kyber and back, we'll be right behind you.
Excellent. Well, at this point, yeah, I think it's just time to rest up before we.
Even as you're getting on the ship and talking to Strike, you're noticing that like mooring lines are being thrown off. The ship is moving a little bit more, and the captain, as you're kind of moving to go down below decks, says you might want to hold on tight. We're going to be moving at a pretty good clip here pretty soon.
Good.
Excellent.
All right, you head down below decks. It's Spartan, to say the least. This is not a luxury liner by any stretch of the imagination.
No coaches.
No, nothing. You're not going to be sleeping with the captain. You're not going to be relaxing in luxury and having a nice meal.
I was promised the buffet.
There will be no buffet. There will be no continental breakfast even. And that's pretty much as sad as meals go.
It's so true. So at this point, okay, we need to figure out how. I mean, we're all going down, and as long as our no longer flaming cloaks of Featherfall work, we should all be ended up in kind of the same area.
On that note, is Gemma bothering to use one of those, or is she just a bird? We'll figure it out.
We wait.
Is that an actual question?
I'm curious.
I was planning on going in like everybody else until I found out that I needed to be otherwise.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
So I know. Do we have any full stealth, or are we gonna go and just stay as a troop together when we get down there? Do we have a plan for that?
I don't know, do you? Hello? So, do you guys have a plan for that, or no?
That's true.
I'm not hearing you guys. Well, I'm hearing Justin, but I'm not hearing anybody else speaking.
You don't hear Graham right now?
Nope.
Graham, do you hear me? Okay, Aaron can't hear you. Yeah. And I don't know if Wraith was talking at all.
Eddie, say something.
Oh, okay, just... So,
I don't hear anybody else except for you.
So yeah, they can't Yeah, they can't hear you, Aaron.
They can't hear me either. All right, let me reload real quick.
All right, he's gonna reload.
No. Can Florida? Could you guys hear Aaron there?
Nope.
Okay.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
There you go.
All right,
Can you hear me?
I think I can hear all of you.
All right. Sound off. Lucan.
Yeah, that's really weird. Yeah, everybody
All right.
say something so I know I can hear you.
Cord.
Lucan.
Florida contingent.
Okay, Eddie.
Yo. I'm
All right.
here.
All right, we're good. I don't know what the hell that was.
Yeah. Glitches.
Yeah, right. So yeah, it looks like we'll probably end up just sticking up, maybe just having Jemma squirrel scout a little bit if necessary.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So, about 5 or 6 hours after you head out, you hear a knock at your door. You guys are all sharing one room. It's cramped. This is very much designed to fit as many people into the space as possible. So there are bunk beds on either side. Just 2 beds, not triple deckers or anything like that. But you can tell there are rings embedded in the beds, which make it clear that there are hammocks that are supposed to be strung across for other people.
Wonderful.
So let's see. So you hear a knock at the door, and the captain comes in. Says, "We're about there. We've taken a bit of a circuitous route, heading over First Tower and to some extent the King's Forest before heading southeast towards Zilspar and then southwest again towards Irkun Drawl. Hopefully that'll mean that anybody following us thinks we're going elsewhere. It's hard to say. The night sky is working for us here, but it's also working a bit against us."
All right. How far out are we?
We should be over this rough area mentioned in about maybe 30 minutes.
All right, then let's get ready. Oh dear.
Okay.
Alright, so you guys head up. You gather your stuff. You head up towards the decks. It's pretty chilly out. You guys are pretty high up, you can tell. And you know that the higher up you get on an airship, the colder it's going to get. And in this time, you don't even have the benefits of the fire ring to help keep things at least a little bit warm. When an air elemental is bound into the ring on an airship, it just makes things even colder, which sometimes is nice, like when you're going down to Zendrick. Here, though, in this time of year, it's pretty frigid. But you see people on decks working. You see all the other soldiers checking their gear, getting set up. Strick sees you, and he gives you a brief salute.
Salute back with my war hand.
Again, it's hard to read the expression on a Warforged, but if anything, you seem to have surprised him a bit. He didn't really get a look at that hand while you were talking to him earlier.
And I'm very interested in Warforged as well, so it's one of those things where I'm stealing glances at kind of weird that I'm checking out a Warforge, but essentially that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, pretty much. But after the salute and he sees that, he goes back to what he's doing. He's not yelling or anything like that you might expect someone in his position to be doing, but he's definitely going around to each soldier and checking on them, talking to them. Everybody seems to be, considering the situation, they all seem relatively mellow. And Zhuandi for sure, Wraith probably as well, and Lucan. You can tell that these guys are not just combat veterans, but probably war veterans. These guys have seen not just cloak and dagger fighting or, skirmishes here and there, but these guys have the look that kind of indicates that they've seen some serious shit.
1,000-yard stare.
Not quite that bad, but it's got a similar expression to it. But at the same time, even though they look like they've seen some shit, they're pretty relaxed. Honestly, they're checking their stuff. They're making sure everything's okay, but they don't look like super tense or freaked out or anything like that.
Nice.
These are all Navy guys, right?
Not Navy pukes, no.
Air Navy. No.
No. No, these are not Marines. They are not Navy pukes. You don't know what...
Right.
You don't... I mean, they don't have any insignia. They don't have any... The ones who have shields don't have any, any heraldry on the shield. Everything is just pretty much blanked out.
So, based on prior military knowledge, does this seem like a mercenary company then?
No.
Okay.
These guys are too much... they are acting too professional.
They're all on the same page.
Yeah, they show more discipline than you might expect a mercenary group to be. And from what you know, in general, they would not... the Citadel would not hire mercenaries for something like this. They might hire adventurers for some operations if plausible deniability was something important, but you feel that this is probably not one of those occasions. These are almost certainly a Brellish military unit of some sort.
Okay.
Just curious, do I see any faces that I recognize from my time in the military?
I don't know, do you?
No.
Alright. Yeah, nobody seems terribly familiar. They've all got a look that's familiar. You've seen people with this kind of look before during the war, for sure. And from the way they're talking and the slang they're using, yeah, you know for sure that these are Brellish soldiers. But given the kinds of things you were doing during the war, you weren't always interacting with the rank and file very often. You were coordinating siege efforts, counter siege, the engineering and everything like that, so you didn't always meet with the grunts.
And even those of us who did, I was in the grunt forces for the most part, but I only know so many from where I was stationed anyway. So.
Yeah, there were...
It's a big army.
Yeah, there were tens of thousands of people fighting during the war. And
I could probably recognize 100 all stationed on a road.
Yeah, you guys didn't see... You saw a lot of people, but that doesn't mean their faces stuck in your head. No. Nor do yours necessarily stick in theirs.
I think if we knew Strike, we might remember him.
Yes.
Strike
is definitely more memorable. Not so much from the way he looks, but from the way he talks. He's got to talk like he's seen it all, he's done it all, and he's tired of all the usual bullshit that's involved. But he's not tired of it enough to take his walking papers and do something else.
Someone cast Tireless on him.
Yay.
So.
All right. Cool.
All right. So a little while after you guys get up there, the captain comes back out, says, "We're gonna hit the drop zone in about 5 minutes. You might want to get your equipment, make sure it's all ready, and get up next to that railing, because we're not gonna be able to linger over the area for very long. We will be staying roughly 15 minutes out. You can find us to the north if you need to signal us. Just point that light to the sky, and I can assure you that we will be seeing it."
Right. And which way's north? Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Make sure everybody that you have your device on, attached quite securely.
Strap on your cloak, and don't just strap it to your neck.
Yeah.
The sudden jerk hangs you immediately.
Adventure over.
It would be pretty funny.
I hope this thing has shoulder straps. It's
Yeah, it's like Aaron's like, "Hey, we're gonna have you roll. Don't roll a 1." And then the bug.
Then every one of you is going to roll a 1, and I'm going to be going, "Okay, well, that was a failed operation. Good job, guys."
Come on, this isn't 3rd edition.
Heroes.
All right.
All right. Yeah.
So as you guys are getting ready, the rest of the soldiers walk by. Some of them give you a nod. Some of them pat you on the back. Some of them just kind of look you up and down, like evaluating. Who are these people that whose bacon we're gonna pull out of the fire? You guys are being treated like officers in all the good and bad ways.
Right.
These people work for a living. You guys, they don't know about. But nevertheless, they're giving you a reasonable amount of respect. Mostly because you figured that Strike was doing that.
Mm-hmm.
About 5 minutes later, you hear a call come out from the rear of the ship saying, "Time to go over."
All right. Well, here we go.
Yeah. Leave off.
Arms crossed, feet first, like I'm jumping in.
By the way, were the
to the
soldiers
ocean.
briefed on how we're going in?
Or
Or are they just seeing people jump off the ship?
from the
Look and
looks,
leave. Hey, do the guys know what we're doing?
from the looks on their faces as you guys start to climb up the railing, they very clearly have not been briefed that you are going in considerably more directly than they are.
So I shout out, "Hey, Strike, watch this!" And dead man fall off the railing.
I kind of, just after he does that, turn around, wave cheerfully, and smile big, and then just fall backwards.
The world being very theatric about this. You got.
Oh yes. Whee!
We are obviously consummate professionals.
You hear some swearing as you guys fall into the night sky. Swearing that is immediately hushed up by somebody else, but swearing nonetheless as you guys fall off the railing and into the cool night sky. And you guys feel like you're falling for eternity. You can see.
Dark. We can't see shit.
You can see. Well, you can see enough. You can see enough to. There's not a lot of moonlight and starlight because it's pretty overcast, but that doesn't mean there's none at all.
Are there any firelights down below?
You see firelights more in the distance than right below you.
Okay.
You see the firelights more from what you think is your west and north. Given how they look, you think that they are probably from some of the watchtowers that are set to keep an eye on Yarkun Drawl. You also see lights out to sea. The sea is very easy to distinguish from the ground below. Mm-hmm. But aside from that, you don't see a lot of you don't see a lot of other fires or other light sources at all. If the people down below are doing anything, they're doing it undercover.
Okay. How high up were we?
You were pretty high up.
All right. After about a minute, then I'm just going to start getting bored, and it's like, well, this is less interesting than I thought it was going to be.
Coming from a guy who can't die.
I could do the calculations in terms of how high you exactly were, and how long it's going to take to the ground. I have an idea though, but you're falling for probably just over a minute, and you are awfully goddamn close to the ground when the cloak kind of expands almost like a parachute. Not exactly the same, because it's not physically catching the air and slowing you down like that, but it kind of extends outward from your back, and you immediately come to almost a full stop. It's
fortitude save.
Yeah, it's really kind of unpleasant. There are going to be bruises later. And that's kind of the weird part about it, is that the bruises, if it were just around your neck, then good luck. You're breaking, all of you are breaking your necks. But it's more like your entire body is just stopped all at once. From the back of your head all the way down to the back of your heels.
That's why Gemma Beth was curled into a ball when she jumped out. She knew better.
I was just coming down head first, like Captain America style, yeah.
Yeah, I figured some of you were actually doing proper technique and were spread out most of the way. Some of you were dropping head first, some of you feet first. But yeah, I figured, I mean, there's not really prior technique for a Halo drop in Eberron. You're not the first to have done it, but there aren't many others who have.
Haven't really studied, yeah.
Yeah, most people are going to have no idea, and you up till now were one of those most people. But you're probably 50 feet from the ground when it kicks in, and you float to the ground pretty easily over the next few seconds. This sort of place you might expect to have a lot of foliage, a lot of trees sprung up. It's a ruin, and in your experience, that's just kind of the way it goes. Nature moves to reclaim a lot of it, but it hasn't done it as much as you might think. There are some kind of stunted trees and scrub brush, but it seems a lot more restricted than you might think, given the location. You think, Gemabeth especially, you think that there should be a lot more plant life and probably animal life that have grown to a greater extent than it has here. Even the weeds and the grass, you might expect to be up to your waist. Well, most of your waist. You might Gemabeth might expect to be over her head. But you'd expect it to be a lot higher, but it's more like down by your knees. The trees are like between 10 and 15 feet tall, but again, you expect that to be a lot taller than that.
So this seems more magical than like people staying there than by this, because it seems everything is just stunted rather than pulled over.
Yeah, something is definitely not quite the way it should be. You don't know if this is somebody taking action. You don't know if has something to do with the magical effect that Irvelin told you about, but it's definitely a bit on the unusual side.
All right then. So, based on the maps, based on the lights we saw, I believe we know the direction of our goal.
Yes, you have a pretty good idea where you're at.
All right. Do we want a scout ahead? Probably.
Are we attempting to sneak, or are we just walking up to the door and saying hello?
We're sneaking, definitely. We wanted to start off with this. We need to figure out what's going on and what we have in front of us, but we don't want to just charge on in. That was stated kind of at the beginning that we want to be a little more subtle until we figure out what's going on and what we need to clear out before we bring in the rest of the troops to do the big cleanup. We're more on chaos detail at this point.
So a scout ahead at minimum would
But do
be
you want me to
worth it.
should do some kind of animal that we maybe see floating around to do some scouting?
Sounds like a plan to me.
What animals have we seen floating around?
You really haven't
this
seen
area,
that
right?
many around. It's the middle of the night.
Probably can't go wrong with a bat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bats are a possibility. Other
Raccoons.
night birds.
No, don't
Bro-
go for it.
brother
Somebody
raccoons.
gonna chase you off the porch with a broom.
Let's go with bat. Bat sounds good.
Alright. So I shift into a bat to try to look around.
All right, are you actually using the scout form, or are you just playing it up for flavor?
Scout form.
Okay. I don't remember exactly how scout form works. Do you want to go over it real quick?
Yeah, give me a second.
All right. Actually, while you look that up, let's take a break. Use the restroom. Go get something to drink. Do whatever you need to do.
Ooh.
I'm going to do exactly that too. So let's put on intermission.
click to that tab because I didn't realize it was still up.
Yeah. All right, so there's some stuff that's not getting posted to YouTube.
Whatever. Scout form bat.
To sum up, the bat has detected heavy footsteps, metal grinding over near the fortress that is that Irvelin mentioned earlier. So it's been summed up. Yay!
Yay! Yay!
Hopefully the rest of us will actually remember that shit later.
I wrote it down.
Okay, that'll work. All right, so yeah, they are definitely kind of staying around the fortress. It doesn't look like they're exclusively within the fortress. Some of the sounds are coming from outside, for sure. Those are actually easier to hear because the sound is reflecting differently than the stuff inside. Let me describe to some extent how the fortress is. It's kind of a roughly square thing. It's got outer walls. And it's got a mirror, and it's what?
I would hope it has outer walls.
Yes. Well, I mean, the outer walls are mostly intact. Let me rephrase. The outer walls are mostly intact. There's an inner courtyard with a tall building that's half wrecked in the center. That was probably the center point of the keep. But that is... It looks like it used to be probably 3 floors going up. Now only the first is entirely intact. You see remains of the second and third floors above it. The rest of the keep is a single floor, above ground anyway. There's a large gate at the west end, and that's pretty much the basics of the keep.
Where was that gate?
The gate's on the west side, and you guys are southwest of it, roughly. You're more west-southwest than straight southwest.
Did you see guard stationings?
Didn't really see any guards. You saw something big moving around in the courtyard, and you heard other things walking around, but didn't really see a lot.
Okay.
But from what you can tell, there were roughly 4 distinct groups. It's difficult to say because a lot of it was jumbled, but it sounds like there was one big thing and then 3 other sets of footsteps. It's difficult to say whether they were by themselves or a small group, but one big thing and then 3 other things, at least.
Can I discern any pattern in their movement, or are they separated? Or
They are definitely separated. You hear roughly one thing. You hear a couple of things in the courtyard. You don't hear or see anything in this building in the center. And the other 2 seem to be moving in and around the walls, both outside and inside.
How wide are the walls? Are they like actual things you can walk across, or
there's no God, what is it called? I actually don't remember.
walkway at the top?
Yeah, there's nothing like that is up at the top of the walls. They're not meant to be manned that way. They're more meant to be, let's just keep everybody out kind of thing.
Okay. So yeah, a couple foot bricks. All right.
Yeah, it's... If you got to the top, you could walk across it. It would be a little narrow, but you could. They are probably about 9 or 10 feet tall. Which to Juan D at the very least means that this was as much this wasn't a serious fortress. If it was, it would have been designed considerably different. The walls would be higher, they would probably be thicker, and they would be designed to have defenders actively up at the top.
They were how tall?
About 9 or 10 feet tall.
Oh God, no.
Yeah, this is more from from the description you're getting and from what you're seeing from Gemma Beth. This is more like maybe like an administrative center, like a community center. It might have been like a supply depot or something like that, but it's not really a withstand a siege and protect the town kind of fortress, which makes sense to most of you because this is like relatively near the center of town. It's a bit to the north. It's a bit to the north of the city's edge to the south, and it's a fair ways west of the city's edge. I mean, it's a fair ways east of the city's edge. Sorry. It's not really on the edge of town where you might expect to see something that is supposed to protect citizens.
Oh, sounds good to me, because that means it's easier for us to break into.
All right.
All right. If from Gemma's scouting we don't have much in the way of like guard patrols going around,
you know there are some, but you don't have a really definitive pattern.
I was meaning like outside the walls, though.
Oh yeah.
So I say that the group of us go up quietly and try and spot for a good place to make our infiltration.
I agree.
All right. So you guys are heading closer.
Mm-hmm.
Are you just gonna approach the ruins, or are you gonna try to get up someplace higher?
I am gonna hookshot my way up a tree.
Yeah, I would prefer hiking.
The trees, as mentioned before, are really not that tall. Honestly, they're not much taller than the walls themselves. Maybe some of them, maybe, but they're not necessarily. They're not very close to the walls. So,
okay, is there anywhere that is higher?
It looks like there are some ruined towers.
Let's do that.
And a couple of other buildings relatively nearby. They are pretty wretched in terms of their condition right now.
Do they look like they would hold a person?
They might.
Then let's send Gemma the Bat.
We live and die on might.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, in that case, Juan D, if you're joining this little expedition, give me a Siege Master plus Wisdom check.
All right.
If anybody here is an expert on buildings staying up and falling down, it would be Juan D.
I mean, I am a civil engineer, but Lucan isn't.
It's not quite the same. You still might be able to use your hookshot.
I know.
As far as Juan D is concerned, all of these buildings should have fallen down a long time ago. And in fact, Juan D's kind of looking, without really meaning to, he's thinking about what it would take to get a lot of the stuff to fall over or fall apart.
I'm guessing like a pretty hefty push for some of them.
Some of them might yet not even need a really hefty push. Some of them might be the next strong wind might very well take parts of it down.
So what you're saying is, if I hookshot my way up a tower, I will likely hookshot a tower onto my head.
Or hookshot it onto something else's head that is big and stomping around it.
That'll come later, don't worry.
I'll throw this out there as a thing. We are assaulting people that have shown no small amount of badassery as far as preparation, villainy, and just general preparedness. This looks like the kind of place they're going to be hanging out to you.
Well, we'll have to go in and assault them and find out.
Yeah, to some extent.
I'm thinking looks might be deceiving, and you need to be prepared for something to surprise you around the corner.
Yeah.
Yes, there's ogres.
A possible way to do that, actually, I mean, we could cause a ruckus. That's one of the reasons why we're here, is to cause a ruckus, and a good distraction to see what they've got around is to possibly collapse one of these towers.
Give me a give me a regular perception check, or in your case, artifice archaeology. It would probably be more appropriate. Plus wisdom.
14.
Something about that plan seems a bit awry, and you're not really sure what it is. It sounds like a good idea, but something about it is nagging you in the back of the head, saying that it's not going to work out quite the way you want it to.
He's going to collapse on us and we'll die. Let's stick with the original plan. Infiltrate, knock some folks out, see what's up. Yes, exactly, Gemma.
Yeah.
Separate a group, knock them out, kick some ass.
Okay.
Cool. So, sneaking around, are there any distinct, cracks in the walls that we could sneak through?
Yes.
Or...
From what you can tell, there are 4 different places where the walls have been broken or crumbled. There is one on the west wall that is pretty much right next to the gate. There's one on the south wall, pretty much smack dab right in the middle of the south wall. The northeast corner has been broken. And to be clear, it's not like a castle where each corner has like a tower or anything like that. It's just a corner. There's nothing above it. And on the north side of the north wall, towards the west, there's another opening in the wall. The opening on the west wall is pretty small. The others are large enough, maybe to get 2 of you side by side.
Okay. I'm a vote for the northeast because farthest from the door, and it'll give us a good view of the north side and the east side at the same time, instead of coming up through the center of the wall.
I was going to suggest that I use my echolocation, vision, whatever it might be, to find the one that's least traveled, or at least to find a break in whatever patrolling might be going on to tell you guys when to slip through.
Also, good plan.
All right, so let's get a skill roll from that for that. See if you can. Let's see if Gemabeth can discern a pattern in the patrol. Give me a Princess of the Underworld plus wisdom.
So I'm not using my bat, huh?
No,
in this case, it's not whether you can tell there's a patrol. It's finding a pattern in the patrol in the patrol, which is more appropriate to the Princess of the Underworld.
Wraith, go to hell.
Well,
it seems there's probably a pattern to it, but you're having a hard time picking up what it is.
Our rolls are not good today.
No, they haven't been very good.
No.
Not
Anybody
really
else?
horrifying either.
Does anybody else have a skill that would be appropriate for that? Because I know I don't. Eddie?
Yeah, but I mean, I can't see what Gemma sees, right? I mean, that's kind of
No.
what we're using here. She's using her senses to.
Yeah,
Or
unless
something, or
unless
something
you're
suspicious.
gonna scout yourself, what
Yeah.
you're getting is basically secondhand. You're getting what Gemma sees as sent to Juan D, and then as described by Juan D to you.
Well, I can of course use we're on high ground, right? So I can go ahead and use
Well,
my-
you're not
my-
really on high ground, is the thing.
oh,
You guys were trying to get to high ground earlier, but there's not a lot of high ground to be had.
No, so we're up near the walls at this point, right?
okay.
I figured you guys were like nearby the walls and kind of circling, like the next buildings over. Is kind of
okay.
Well, I mean, I can just search these points, and I can search around through these various points that we have identified thus far, and I can look for a good infiltration point. Things, particularly looking for abundance of cover, breaks in line of sight, away from any any dead plant life, things of those natures. This type of stuff that I would be trained in infiltration techniques, as my changeling infiltrator background to just kind of take advantage of a silent entry.
okay. So, what's your goal here? What are you trying to do and where?
Well, I mean, you looking at these various entry points that we have identified so far, I believe we agreed that the northeast one was the one that we liked the most. I mean, perhaps I could find a path that would be what am I looking for exactly? A path.
If you want to sneak up and make sure this isn't a bad idea to go through the northeast.
Well, of course, yes. There's that, but additionally, find a way to provide the less stealthy members of the group with an easier point of infiltration by guiding them. Say, hey, you're gonna go over this berm, you're gonna take this, and you're gonna use this for cover, and so on and so forth. And it's got lots of breaks in line of sight from any patrols and things of that nature.
Okay. All right. Let me adjust this real quick. Hold on. Let's enable that, and let's reveal. Actually, that's not a bad way to do it in general. Okay. I'm gonna move just Wraith over to the map in just a sec. I've got to do some adjusting on the Roll20 side.
Are we taking a route you didn't expect us to?
No, not particularly. I just I didn't prepare like this how I should have, honestly. That's more what it is than anything. Is I should have expected this, and because it fucking makes sense to do this. Okay, let me see how I do this. I can do yes. All right, Eddie, I think should be. Oh no, I have to do it like this. All right, Eddie's over here then. Eddie should be on another map entirely now.
I
Eddie?
do appear to be on a different map entirely.
Yes.
Hooray. It worked this time.
So this is what you've seen and what you know.
Okay, let me survey. We've gone across the outskirts.
Let me drag your token on here so you can move around as you need to.
Reach to the northeast. Reach to the north.
Where the fuck is your token? There it is. There it is.
That is a great question.
I have to yank it on. There we go.
Reach
Ah.
to the west. Followed by a breach not too far away.
It's been so long since I've fucking used Roll20 that I've forgotten some of this stuff. My reflexes, so to speak, my instincts aren't quite where they should be.
Well, if I had to wager a guess, they may very well have posted guards in all the breaches. That would just make the most sense. But the guard could be light at this time. I don't know. That's what we're going to determine.
And she did say that the guards were moving around as well. So
they're running routes. So
yeah,
They're doing some
so
stuff,
it's also
yeah.
like they're just posted.
All right.
They're definitely moving. None of them are really staying put. The big one in the middle, from what you can tell, just from the sound, it doesn't look like it can go into any of the rest of the rest of the keep. It's keeping more towards the center.
So we have a chained up open.
It's hard to tell what it is. You haven't heard any vocalizations at all. You haven't heard anybody talking. You haven't heard anybody like grunting or laughing or anything like that. You haven't heard anybody really talking.
It's a keep full of robots.
So.
Okay. So, but I haven't laid eyes on anybody yet, have I?
No, you have not.
Okay. So, one of the first things that I will want to do when I have the opportunity, and you, of course, let me know that, since I do have this transformative armor, I'm going to go ahead and, when I do have eyes on somebody, I'm going to go ahead and at least get my armor looking like their armor.
All right.
So that way, at a distance, at a glance, I probably just look like I'm, not patrolling. But I mean, we'll see. We'll get to that more.
All right.
But,
Make me a changeling infiltrator roll plus dex, please.
Dex. Changeling infiltrator and dex. And any modifiers on that?
No.
Big money, no whammies.
14.
What's the French?
Yeah. What the
Wow.
Yeah, you guys are rolling pretty fucking terrible, honestly.
Yeah.
You've gotten like 3 4s of the last 4 rolls.
Yeah. I don't think I've seen very few rolls that have been above like a 10.
And if I had rolled a 10, I would have been blowing this thing up.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but you
But
rolled
literally, it's been 4 9 4 4.
4. Yeah.
I'm saying roll 20's cheating again.
All right, so you're
You need to change their RNG.
well, I don't think the RNG is the problem because the rolls aren't coming bang, 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 bang. They've been spread out enough so that they should genuinely be random, regardless of what kind of seed that they're using.
True enough.
Or at least random enough that we wouldn't notice much different. So you're heading up. You're trying to get closer to this northeast entrance, and there's just so many rocks around. It won't be that much longer, Brandy. Not at all. And you're trying to creep over these rocks, and they're stacked in such a way that it's really hard to get through them, around them, over them, without knocking one into another. Make me another changeling infiltrator check. If you all right, there we go. Yeah, it's nat 20.
Wow.
So you're concentrating really hard, but something kind of implores you to just stop moving. Just stop right then. And over from kind of around the corner, you hear a noise. You hear like somebody's walking over the same kind of rocks you are. And you duck behind the big boulder that's right here, and you look to the west, and you see It's hard to tell, but it looks kind of like an iron or metal dog of some sort. That just popped its head out of the north entrance, and it kind of moves a few feet out of the way north, and then you see something else come out of that opening. You're not 100% certain, but you think it could be somebody in armor, but you think it's much more likely that this is a warforged of some sort. But it's kind of odd. It's looking around. You see it looking around, and the reason you can see it looking around is the gula, which is the symbol that's in the forehead of all warforged. It's kind of like fingerprints on a person. It's all individual, and nobody knows why the pattern is what it is. Even for warforged, which are created creatures, they have a gula that nobody put there. It just is part of a warforged. Normally, it's just kind of there. It's just kind of a depression in their forehead or the top of their head. This one you see glowing. You definitely see light coming out of it. It's not a lot. If you weren't incredibly focused on what that creature was, so you could imitate the armor, you probably wouldn't notice it at all. But it's definitely got a glowing light to it.
Well, damn. I'm gonna go ahead and want to share. Is anybody looking at me? I can cant this stuff over.
It's going to be hard to see cant.
Oh, that's right.
In the dark at this distance. Yeah. And they start to move that direction.
Oh!
Okay.
Oh God!
And we're going to stop there.
Robots.
Because I am an
okay.
evil bastard.
I've played enough PlanetSide 2 to know what to do here. I have to
Run!
walk around the other side of the rock as they pass.
All right, so we're gonna stop there. We're gonna pick up should be able to pick up in 2 weeks. But for the time being, let's say goodbye to our viewers.
Goodbye.
And we will go from there.
2 weeks, 22nd.
Will